Hello, my name is Matthew Foldenauer. I am the proud parent of a Vogelway Elementary School Eagle student, and I have volunteered to create a video for you, my fellow parents, that will help you take control of the technology that your children are using in pursuit of their homework and their learning at home. Vogelway Elementary School has an amazing array of really exciting initiatives in the use of technology in education. I am really excited to have my student in this school, and I recognize that not everybody is a computer enthusiast like I am. A lot of people, the last thing they want to do is deal with a computer. So I'm going to try with this video and future videos to help give you some tools that will help you take control or a more active role, at least, in managing your child's online safety while not requiring you to go out and get a PhD in computer science. Today what we're going to talk about is setting up a user account for your child that has a unique set of parental controls to protect your child while still allowing them to do the things they need to do on the computer. My child, and I assume all of yours, uses a website called Raz Kids, or maybe for you that have children in higher grade levels, they may even use other websites or make blogs for their classes. They're doing some amazing things. And my wife typically will allow my son to get on her laptop. And ashamed to say that I have not stepped in to help set up a user account for him, but we're going to do that today. The reason it's important is because your user account is probably set up to allow you to do all the things you do with the computer and on the internet. You may balance your checkbook on QuickBooks, or another product. You might go on YouTube and watch videos, and you might not necessarily want your kid to have access to your checkbook or to certain videos on the internet. So this is why it's important to set them up their own login, and it's really easy. So for today, we're going to talk about Windows 7 users. The process is similar for earlier versions of Windows like XP or Vista. You don't have to worry about figuring out what kind you have. The process is also different for Mac users or other alternative operating systems like Ubuntu or Red Hat, Linux, Chrome. If you would like to see a video about those operating systems or other platforms, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll make a separate video on those platforms and operating systems. But for today, on Windows, you'll go to the familiar Start button to begin working with what we're going to be doing today. And over in the right-hand side, you're going to go to Control Panel. Now on Windows 7, it looks like this, and here's your Control Panel Home. There's a whole bunch of categories here: System and Security, Network and Internet, blah, blah, blah. Some of them kind of intimidating, some of them not. We're going to deal with User Accounts and Family Safety. I click on the big green link and it takes me to the home page for User Accounts and Family Safety. And what I want to do is I want to create a new user account. So under User Accounts, there it is next to the shield icon. Now that shield icon means something. It means that Windows is going to notify you anytime an action is taken that conflicts with the rules that you're setting using links that are next to that shield icon. I hope I didn't lose you there, but shield icon means safety and security and notifications. So we click on Add or Remove User Accounts. Now on my computer, or rather my Windows machine here, you have two accounts, Matthew, which is me, and I've set it up as an administrator. And then there's a second for guest, and that's people that want to borrow my computer, and that's currently off because nobody ever borrows my computer. For most people, it's a good idea to set up an account called administrator that's just for administration, like adding programs and stuff. And it's a bad idea usually to set your account up as an administrator. Reason is because if you accidentally click on the wrong link or download the wrong file and it ends up being a virus or something that's going to try to add malicious software to your computer like Trojans, if you're logged in as an administrator, it can do a lot of that stuff in the background without any warnings popping up. So you normally want to be logged in as a regular user, and when you want to add software, which most people don't do very often intentionally, then you would have to log in as an administrator to do that. We're going to create a new account with the link underneath the list of accounts, create a new account, and we're going to give it a name. So Little Timmy, or whatever your child's name is. And you can make him a standard user or an administrator. Obviously, we don't want Little Timmy to be an administrator. We're going to make him a standard user and create the account. Little Timmy is now in the, let me go back, sorry, I'm rushing. Shows up in my list of users now as a standard user. Now when I click him, I can configure it. I can change the account name in case I misspelled Little Timmy's name. I can create a password, change the picture, set up parental controls, change him back to an administrator, delete the account. Now, you may think that you don't want to add a password to your child's account because he might forget it, but it's a good idea to teach them the discipline of having and managing passwords because they're going to be doing a lot of stuff on the computer. So it's never too early to learn to do it safely. We're going to create a password for Little Timmy, and we're going to make it something he can remember. Say the same password he uses on RazKids. We'll put a password hint of RazKids so that he remembers. Okay? And let's change the picture and give him the soccer ball because he plays soccer or football, depending on what you call it. Now, the most important part of the process, setting up parental controls. When you click that link, it's going to give you a list of accounts that you can enable parental controls on, and we want to do Little Timmy's account. So we click that, and it brings up what his current settings are. Currently, parental controls are off. He can do anything. We're going to turn them on, enforce current settings, and then it shows you what his current settings are, and they're all off. So we have to go through and do each one. Now, first one, time limits. This is really cool. Here's a grid of midnight to midnight, Sunday through Saturday. And all the squares are white, which means that Little Timmy can log onto the computer at any of those times. Well, we don't want that. Monday through Friday, we really don't need Little Timmy to be on until he gets home from school, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going to let him, normally we would let him do his homework for a couple hours right after school, and then around 5 o'clock we need him getting ready for dinner. Okay? And on the weekends, Sunday's going to be a family day, so we're going to block that off. And Saturday, we don't want him on before 9, because that's breakfast. And we don't want him on after 7, because he needs to be getting ready for bed. Okay, now that's how I'd maybe set up my child's access. But for right now, I'm going to make these enabled, because if I block them out now, I won't be able to log on and show you how to do stuff. So there you go. That's his time settings. Now, game ratings. Can Little Timmy play games? Sure. There's all sorts of educational games I want Little Timmy to be able to play. Doesn't mean I want him to be able to play all games. So let's go to the game ratings section. Block or allow games by rating and content types. This looks familiar. Do I want him to be able to play games with no rating? No. I want to take advantage of the ESRB's rating system. Everything that's blue he can use, so up to and including the highest level I set, Little Timmy can play. Little Timmy is 6 years old, so I'm going to disable the everyone 10 and up and everything older than that. I'm just going to let him play early childhood and everyone games. And that is described here, and you can find more information about the ESRB's rating system by clicking the icon right there, and it'll take you to a website that'll tell you about it. And then down below there's a huge list of different types of content, mild to severe alcohol, drug use, violence. I won't list the rest of them just in case you're watching this with your kid. This is a video for you, not your kid. And I really encourage you to carefully read every one of these things so that you can decide whether or not it's something you want your kid to see. I'm not going to do that right now because it would take forever, but check every one of these things that you don't want your child to be able to see on the computer. And now, block or allow specific games. Now, I do not have any games installed on this Windows machine, but if I did, excuse me, if I did, they would show up here in a list. And I could individually select them and decide whether or not I wanted to block them or allow them. So I have checkers, chess, Candy Crush, and I want to allow those games for my child. I've got a word hunt game, other learning type games for my son. We'll enable those games. But maybe my shooting game or my car driving game where I can crash cars and stuff, or my more violent superhero games that I don't want him to go imitate at school, I can individually block those if I want to in this list. So that's everything in the game types section. And finally, we have program limits. And program limits is a bit complex. But you have two options: can use all programs or can only use programs I allow. Now, this is where you got to be strong again, parents, and take the time to look through this. It's a little complex, and prepare to be scared, because I'm going to click the only programs I allow, and it's going to bring up a list of every program on the computer. Okay, now every program on the computer is like every little system file that does anything, every little executable that you don't know what it is and it's got a weird name. You got to fish through all that stuff, and you can see it starting to pop up here, to find the things you want to allow them to use, like Word or PowerPoint or Excel or those productivity software. You got to go find those things, and they're listed by directory, as you can see, in order to allow them if you're going to use only the programs I allow. You may be tempted to say you can use all programs, and that's great right up until little Timmy finds the launch button shortcut for your QuickBooks and accidentally deletes all your financial information, or finds out how to uninstall programs that you use. Choose for yourself whether you want to go through that entire list, but I would highly advise you to go through it and check the ones that you want little Timmy to be able to use. And you might want to enlist the help of some of your slightly more computer familiar friends to help you with that, because it can be a little intimidating. So we've gone through and we've set up everything we want to set for little Timmy's profile. And now he has a profile he can use. So we're going to go ahead and log into that. Closed everything out, and I'm going to go to Switch User next to the shutdown button. And now little Timmy shows up on the login screen. And I enter little Timmy's password, and it prepares his desktop for the first time. Hopefully quickly, so that you don't watch this video and get bored with it. And when we get logged in here, we're going to do a couple of things with the web browser. The thing about what we just did is it controls general access to the computer and the programs on the computer. But what we want to do now is spend a little bit more time controlling the web browser that your child's going to use most often. Now, Windows 7 comes with Internet Explorer, but there's other browsers you can use. And as you can see up in the upper left-hand corner, I've got Google Chrome installed on this computer as well. Firefox is another good browser. There's several others that you can choose from, but probably you're mostly using Internet Explorer. So we're going to talk about that today. And if you want a video on those other browsers, leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see. So Internet Explorer comes up, and it has MSN as the home page by default. And I don't want my child's homepage to be MSN. He doesn't need to be reading about a shoplifting spree in Vegas or Drew and Reese girls trip or whatever that's about. I want his homepage to be like Raz Kids or something. So I don't know their website off the top of my head. Oops. Something popped up on me. Oh, darn it. Going to Google. Gonna search for Raz Kids, because I know I'll find it. Okay. Little trick for you guys, by the way. Notice this is Google Deutschland, and all your results are going to be in German. Watch this. www. Come on. Okay, whatever. No thanks. Look at all these pop-ups that show up when you first start a new account. Wow. I might clip out this part of the video. Okay. See all these things? What's happening right now is something popped up while I was working and I was typing and I accidentally clicked OK on it, whatever it was, and now I've got the Google toolbar. And that's probably happened to a few of you, and you probably end up with the Ask toolbar, the Ask Jeeves toolbar, and all that stuff. Disable Google toolbar permanently. Go away, you're just using up system resources. Yes, and I want you to disable the toolbar helper as well. Yes, and I know it's been disabled. See, I've just fixed it. That's a bonus fix for you guys. www.google.com. What I was about to show you was how to use Google without getting German results. www.google.com/NCR. That stands for No Country Redirect. Now, your default search results are going to be English. It's awesome. Okay, so we're looking for RazKids. RazKids. There it is, top one, RazKids. Remember, we're logged in as little Timmy's login. All right, now that we're on RazKids, now we're going to dig into setting up settings for Internet Explorer. Here's the little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner, which gets you access to the under-the-hood stuff for Internet Explorer. And here it is, Internet Options. Now, this is a huge topic, and we're only going to scratch the surface of it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to redirect the home page. Right now it's MSN, go.microsoft.com. I'm going to click the Use Current button, boom, and there it is. RazKids is now, the login page for RazKids is now the home page for little Timmy. And when it starts up, do I want it to start with tabs from the last session or from the home page? I'm going to choose the home page because who knows what tabs are going to be opened. What that means is that when little Timmy closes his web browser, Internet Explorer is going to remember what he was looking at. And all the tabs that he had open are going to pop back up the next time he launches Internet Explorer. I want it to be a clean experience every time. So start with the home page. And we're not going to change anything else right now on this page except for to note that the Delete Browsing History on Exit checkbox is not checked. I don't want little Timmy to have a clean slate every time he logs off because I want to be able to go on the computer and see little Timmy's browsing history so I know what he's been looking at. So if this is checked, that'll all get deleted and it's going to be harder for me to tell what little Timmy's looking at on the internet. Security. Okay, this is a really intimidating section of this, but just as an overview, there's 4 zones that it talks about. The internet, which is general sites, pretty much anything. Local intranet, which would be sites on your home network, and it's really unlikely any of you have anything like that unless you have a network accessible storage device like a big terabyte hard drive where you keep all your pictures and movies and stuff. And a lot of times those devices will have web pages where you can log into the hard drive and do stuff. So that's the local intranet. Trusted sites. These are sites that start with HTTPS. So your banking sites, usually Facebook, anything that has a secure connection by default. And then restricted sites. These are manually added sites where you definitely don't want somebody going. So you probably don't know any sites off the top of your head you want to add to restricted sites, but they'll come along. Under Internet, okay, custom level. This is the broad brush settings. It makes a lot of changes to a lot of different things under the Advanced tab. So high, you probably don't want, to be honest with you, because it's going to really limit the functionality of websites that are otherwise legitimate. Medium high by default is pretty darn safe. You can trust just about everything. The big ones that can hurt your computer are those words that you don't really know what they mean, but you see them all the time. Cookies, ActiveX controls, JavaScript. These slider settings are telling the computer what level of functionality to give those types of things under the hood. And if you do go to medium, it's really going to put you at a bit more risk because other stuff can run portions of their program that are not set up to be as secure as you would like. You may find yourself having to bump these sliders down to allow things to run. So just remember where this is and where you can come back and control it. Under the Advanced tab, I'm not going to go into detail on this because it really requires a lot of homework for you to figure out what a lot of these things are. But I just want to show you in general how it's organized. Accessibility is for vision impaired or blind users, handicapped users that are in some way limited in their ability to interact with the computer and need additional assistance. Browsing has a bunch of controls for how files are downloaded, how navigation works, and how web pages look. International settings, multimedia, security. Now this is where you're going to find a lot of check blocks that by default are probably pretty good. For instance, the SSL, that's secure socket layer. That's when you log into a website that requires you to give it a password, and then the whole session is encrypted and protected like a bank site. Bank sites are perfect example of something that uses secure socket layer, SSL. They have different versions of these. So if you go to a website that doesn't work correctly, it's probably going to pop something up that says you have to have SSL enabled or TLS enabled. This is where you find that. You come in here, you dig into internet options, go over to advanced and scroll down until you start seeing the stuff that matches the pop-up window that the website gave you. Don't just click those things. Don't click OK or cancel or next. You can actually read that stuff. 99% of the time when somebody says they were hacked, they weren't hacked, they just didn't read. So make sure you read. And you notice that a lot of things have asterisks that take effect after you restart your computer or restart your browser. So that's all I'm going to go into on the internet options, but the important ones, the important takeaways are the home site, home page, the browsing history, and the general security settings for how it handles stuff. And medium high is probably pretty good. So there you have it. What we've done is we have set up a user account for our child so that they only have access to things within a little sandbox that we've defined for them with their own kid-sized rules. It'll keep them safe browsing the internet. Safe-ish, because the only thing that you come to this already knowing how to do, and you don't have to go watch some video to do, is you raise your child. There is no substitute for parental involvement and parental supervision. We were frequently tempted to put our child in front of Raz Kids or another website, an educational website, and then go make dinner or have some us time where we get to talk about our day or whatever. And that's taking a risk, because anytime you take your eyes off your child and they have their eyes on a computer and their hands on it, they can do things that you don't want them doing. So parental supervision is the most important safeguard, and there's no substitute for it. However, I hope this stuff was helpful. Again, if you liked the video, leave a like below. If you would like to see something else, like another operating system or another browser, you have comments or corrections for me, I'd love to have those. I'm not perfect, so if I made a mistake, let everybody know so that we're not putting out bad information. And again, I really hope that this helps you to remain an engaged and involved influence in your child's online life. Thanks a lot and good luck.